blow apart the stock market and put it back together so that it makes sense for you. I'm Forbes Markets editor John Dobis, today with a little bit of thinking about contrarian ideas. Well, here's a magazine cover. A lot of times you'll see mass ideas out there in the press. Many times as magazine covers. Business Week had 1979, the death of equities, right before the rip-roaring bull market of the 80s and 90s was about to erupt. And this was the cover of Time magazine, June of 2005, just 7 years ago, not quite 7 years ago. Home Sweet Home, an article about, a cover story, in fact, about why homes are so popular and so great. Well, 2005 was actually the top in sales of homes. The pace of new home sales declined. We have been bottoming out now for about the past 2 years at a very negligible level of a couple 100,000 homes per year. And it's been a gruesome history indeed. Home prices, after surging from 2000 through 2006, began to come down. And we're now back down on the Case-Shiller Home Price Index to where we were nationwide in 2002. Well, let's fast forward to today. The damage has been done. People think housing is just awful. It's the worst investment ever. You never want to touch a house. So maybe the contrarian thinking now is just the other way around. We had a report out today. New home sales in February down 1.6% from January. The median price, though, up 8.3% to $232,000. Things may be turning around here. That figure, don't get too excited about it. Sales were higher in the Northeast and in the West, where, if you haven't noticed, homes cost a lot more. So the news, though, has been pretty good, though, for the past few months, although this is a little bit troubling. The good news has fed a near doubling in the homebuilders ETF. This thing tracks all the publicly traded homebuilders, the XHB. It was down around $12 in October. 22 earlier, down to 21.07 right now. One company that had earnings out on Friday was KB Home. KB was getting hammered on Friday, down about 8.5%. The company said orders were down 8.1% in the quarter. The cancellation rate, 36% versus 29%. 36% people said, yeah, that house you were going to build for us, just forget about it. Keep the deposit, we're out of here. That's not good. So KB slashing through its 50-day moving average. Looked like a strong stock there, but this was pretty bad news for it. If you want to go into home builders, you've got the trend on your side mostly still. You want to find something that's still above the 50-day moving average or has just successfully challenged it. Here's one idea for you. Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers builds a little bit more high-end homes. 50-day average right around $23.50. Midday Friday, that's where it was. Coming down from its high around $25. Toll might be looking good. You've got D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton also came down to its 50-day moving average. D.R. Horton looks like the index here, kind of going up from about 8 to 15, almost doubling. One thing that could hurt, you got the mortgage rates above 4% now for the first time in 3 months. Higher rates mean fewer people will be able to buy a house. And mortgage rates are keyed off of 10 and 20 and 30-year Treasury bonds, notes and bonds. 10-year Treasury yield, it's been Mr. Mojo rising, like Jim Morrison from the Fat Jim era on the L.A. Woman soundtrack, Mr. Mojo rising. He has, the 10-year yield has gone from about 2%, 2.4. It's back down in the past week. A friend of mine, Andrew Wilkinson over at Miller Tabak, shows how this is from the Fed statement 2 weeks ago. Rates just rose up through the roof. And here we have U.S. Existing home sales fell from January a little bit earlier in the week. It helped take the 10-year yield back down to where it is right now. But it's still higher than it was 2 weeks ago. A little bit of news here today, a little mix-up news. Birds or no birds? Will Microsoft Windows Phone 7 get Angry Birds? Well, the chief marketing officer told Bloomberg, no, we're just going to do it for Apple's iOS and for Android. Too hard to do with Windows Phone 7. But then the CEO came out and said, no, we are going to do it. Angry Birds in space I'm talking about here, Angry Birds Space. Adds the element of gravity and zero gravity for your killing of pigs with birds. This kind of story reminds me of Frank Reynolds back at the ABC News when President Reagan was shot by John Hinckley Jr. Let's get the story right. But we did get the story right. They are going to have it for Windows Phone 7. This would be a big blow if they didn't have it for Nokia. Nokia is, of course, the partner for Windows Phone 7, making the Lumia. Lumia is supposed to be a great phone. Okay, Microsoft, though, the stock has pulled back in the last week. It had a nice little run right here. Microsoft kicking out a nice dividend, 2.7% roughly. Stock up around 31.87. Not bad looking Microsoft. Nokia, they have a great logo, but their phones, you just don't see them around the U.S. much anymore. Maybe the emerging markets. This stock is about half where it was 2 years ago. But I want to draw your attention. Look at the bars here, the big black bars. Maybe there's a change. Maybe people are sensing something good with the Lumia. Hey, stranger things have happened. The iPad, the new iPad, apparently it gets pretty hot, up to about 106 or 116 degrees according to Consumer Reports that tested it out. Nice new display, Retina display, but it gets awfully hot. You know what? Big deal. The stock is just hanging in there fine. Funny story, not too funny though if you were on the wrong side of this trade. On Friday, Apple shares were temporarily halted before noon, around 11 o'clock, when a trade crossed at 542 bucks. 542 bucks. It was at 600 before. Why did that happen? Because a company, this is funny, that went public today, Bats Capital Markets, global markets, I guess, making markets better is their motto. They had problems from A through BFF in the alphabet with companies that traded on their exchange. They make markets, including their own stock. They IPO'd today around 16 bucks. Last trade was around 4 cents. So they need to get things straightened out, and Apple did resume trading back around the 600 or 598 level, but not a great debut for those guys at Bats. Priceline, and a stock that's gone into the moon with or without Shatner as a spokesperson. Stock is at 715. This thing was at 375 about 4 months ago. Nutso, but don't disrespect Priceline. One more thing I want to, Amazon. Amazon's been perking up lately. Look at that, some green bars right there. Maybe some action from 180 to 190. But then you look at the fundamentals of Amazon and you just want to freak out. Look at that, 30% sales growth. Hey, good. But a 151 PE. If you're going to buy Amazon, you might want to consider some other kind of 151. Bacardi 151. Do a few shots of that. Then you might be more inclined to buy the stock. But those kind of valuations make you just wonder. Then again, Amazon was at 245 not long ago.